Taking a cruise vacation is a phenomenal way to travel the world until you start researching. There are too many cruise lines, and then within those cruise lines, too many ships to choose from, and then within those ships, too many cabin choices to choose from, too many itineraries to choose from. The whole thing is incredibly overwhelming, and it can be really easy to feel stuck or unsure about your choices. The first thing I want to say is you are not alone. I see this all the time. You go down a research rabbit hole, find yourself on YouTube with literally hundreds of people saying that this cruise line is best or this itinerary is best. And it can be confusing and it can be overwhelming. And if you've already made your choice, it can make you doubt your choice. Well, I'm here to say that you don't need all of the options when searching for a cruise or any travel for that matter. You just need the right option. Planning a cruise does not need to be complicated. You do not need to compare every cruise line, every ship, and every itinerary. And you do not need to be perfect. The goal is to choose well, not perfectly. Today, I'm going to share with you a very simple framework for making 3 choices. And once those 3 choices are made, all of the rest of your cruise planning will go smoothly and easily. Decision number 1, the cruise line. I know this is often where people can get stuck in trying to decide on a cruise line, but it actually is pretty easy. I want you to think of the type of hotel you would typically choose, or what you envision for this particular vacation that you're planning for. Are you wanting something that is a little less expensive in order to get a cabin? Maybe something that has a ton of activities. Think water slides and other types of rides and the flow rider off of the back of the ship, or special ice rinks inside the ship and shopping malls. And when you're seeing the commercials for the giant ships, is that something that you envision? Do you have kids that you'll be bringing on this trip that you want to have lots of activities? Or adults that just want to have lots of activities? Is that something that would appeal to you for this vacation? This also means, on the other side, that they're going to be much larger, more crowds, more people. Now, that might sound fantastic to you. And if it does, then you're going to want to choose what is considered more of a mass market cruise line. So think Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and a handful of others. Next level, instead of that, if that does not sound appealing to you, do you want something a little more premium? Maybe without the water slides and the rides and the shopping malls, but you still want to have some activities. You'd like to have a spa, pools, casino, still have entertainment and some shopping, but you want it to be a little quieter, a little bit less crowds, something a little more elevated as far as luxury goes, and a little bit more personal service, maybe a little better food quality. Then you're going to be looking at one of the premium lines. Think Princess, which is my personal favorite, or Holland America, or Celebrity. Now, if that sounds good, but you want even more luxury, you want more of a personal touch where the staff on the ship, they're customizing everything to you. It's all about service. It's all about luxury. It's all about smaller crowds, smaller ships, still having spas and pools, but everything is much smaller, much quieter, and higher luxury. If that sounds more ideal for your vacation, then you're going to want to look at the ultra luxury lines, things like Radisson Seven Seas and Crystal, and a few of the others. There's actually quite a few in that range. So that's the first decision you want to make. Between those 3 levels, what level sounds the most appropriate for what you're looking for? And each of those levels will have a different price point, with the ultra luxury being the highest and the mass market being the lowest. That's the first decision to make. Once you've made that, it's a very easy process to narrow it down to a specific cruise line. So choosing the right cruise line within that, it's important to know that they're not all the same. So say you decided you wanted to do that middle level, that premium brand, and you are deciding between Princess and Holland and Celebrity. Those are 3 of the most popular in this class of service. They are not the same, but at least by narrowing it down to that level, it narrows your field of options, and now you're not having to research every level of ship. You're really only needing to research that middle level of ship. And then you can more easily compare what does Princess offer, what does Holland offer, what does Celebrity offer, and be able to narrow down your choice. Now, I don't want to spend 3 hours on this video explaining every particular cruise line, so I will provide future videos which will compare within certain levels to help you make those decisions. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and that notification bell, and we'll let you know once one of those videos comes out. Decision 2 is matching your itinerary to your pace. So once you've narrowed down the cruise line, or at least cruise level or service level that you would like to have, you'll start looking at some of the itineraries for the destination that you would like to go. When I say to match the itinerary to your pace, I mean, how many sea days are there? How many port days are there? How many days in general are there? Are you going to be going from port to port to port to port with no sea days? And if that's what you want, that's fantastic. But just know, when an itinerary is solid back-to-back ports like that, you are going to be on the go a lot. And if you're the kind of person that wants to always have plenty to do every day, that might be exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for something a little more relaxing, you might want to choose an itinerary that includes some sea days in addition to the port days. This will give you a varied pace, where you'll have port days where you might need to be up early to catch an excursion or to get off of the ship and into the town, in addition to gentler days that are at sea days where you can sleep in a little bit, have breakfast in bed, or have a little bit gentler pace. It's a good idea unless you know you're the kind of person that really wants to have a lot to do every single day. And I know that there's people that love that. But if you don't want to be exhausted by the end of your trip, and you know a constant pace like that will make you exhausted, then it's good to pick an itinerary that does have those sea days to help break it up. One other option is, if there's an itinerary that looks fantastic to you, but it does have back-to-back port days and no sea days, that's still okay. You can opt to stay on the ship for one of those port days and just simply not get off and stay, sleep in, and have your rest as well. And then also itineraries, if you want lots and lots of rest and not a lot of chaos of being in port, then of course you can pick one with far more sea days and far less port days. Some of the trans-Pacific and transatlantic or ocean cruises are fantastic for that. And when you're looking at those itineraries, say for instance, you know you want to go to the Caribbean, you can start looking at some of those destinations, perusing some of the excursions, seeing what's available in each, and that can help you narrow down your choice as well. Because for instance, with the Caribbean, there are so many different destinations you can get depending on the cruise and itinerary you choose. You know, one island might have something specific to your liking, and another one might not have it, and that might help you make that choice of itinerary. Okay, the final decision in this simple framework is getting your cabin and timing right. Now, this is a very small decision that has a big impact. First, let's talk about a cabin. Let's cover just the basics, which you might already know, but let's cover it for those of you that don't. There are some primary cabin types on every ship. You have inside cabins, which means they're on the interior of the ship and typically do not have any sort of windows. It's in the inside of the hallway. They're typically smaller rooms, but not always. And so those are ideal for people who just want to get in the lowest price on their ship. They see themselves going out of the cabin most of the day. They're going to be spending their time around the ship, doing the various activities on the ship or in port, and really just need a place to lay their head. Those are really the two ideal people that would choose an interior cabin. The next level is going to be an outside cabin. This means there is a window or a porthole, but you can see outside. These are the next level of price that you can choose. It gives you a view outside. If you're more of a claustrophobic kind of person, it's nice to at least have a window. The rooms are probably a similar size to the inside cabins, maybe a tiny bit larger, and you get some natural daylight through that window. But it also is something where you're not going to be hanging out in your cabin necessarily. I mean, you can. If you stay out all night and sleep all day, doesn't really matter what type of cabin that you're going to get in that regard. Might as well save some money there. So that's an outside cabin. The next level is going to be your balcony cabin. So these are the rooms that do have an outside area, outdoor balcony. Unless it's celebrity, then it might be a window that opens. But in either case, you have access outside from your room to the fresh air. Usually the balconies usually have chairs out on the balcony if you like to sit outside with a cup of coffee in the morning or a beverage in the evening and watching the sunset. This is the type of cabin that you would want for that. Also, if you are going someplace that you know you're going to want to see outside, a gorgeous Caribbean cruise, an Alaska cruise where you want to be able to not necessarily be on deck to see the glaciers, but have your own private space in order to see the glaciers and the surroundings. I personally, this is the level that I typically choose because I spend a lot of time in my cabin. I'm not out and about all day long. And one of my most favorite things to do is to have a cup of coffee on my balcony in the morning. That might not be for you, it might be for you, but that is the balcony choice. That is, again, next up in that price range. And then above that, you're going to have a number of suites available. These typically provide more space. Cabins are a bit bigger. Sometimes they have a separated bedroom with living area. Sometimes they have much nicer bathrooms where you would have maybe a separate shower stall and bathtub, which not all bathrooms have bathtubs. These are great for families traveling together or couples maybe that want to share the cost of a space. I usually recommend getting your own cabin if that's the case, but or if you just want to have more space. Suites also typically come with more perks. So you might have priority embarkation, priority disembarkation, priority seats at the entertainment, in the restaurants, special beverage services. Some of the suites even have butlers that attend to you, which is fantastic. I've experienced that before myself, and it's fantastic. So the suites come with all the extras, but they also come with that higher price tag. So of those cabin levels, that's the primary choices you want to make, is which level you think you'd want. Within those levels, there's variations. For instance, there are balcony cabins that might be partially obstructed, or outside cabins that might be partially obstructed, meaning there is a beam or one of these lifeboats might be covering it up, things of that nature. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and complicate things for you. Right now, just think, do I want inside, outside with a window, balcony, or suite? That's all you need to decide right now. All right, the next part of this decision is timing. And by timing, I mean what time of the year you're going to go. Of course, this depends heavily on the destination that you choose. So for example, if you're going to Alaska, there's only a few months you can go. There are no Alaskan cruises in the winter unless it's more of a scientific exploration type of a cruise. So you typically would have May to September. But within May to September for Alaska, there are good months and maybe not so good months to go, depending on what you're looking for. You want to think about crowds. So when you're thinking about the summer, June and July and August, usually July and August are going to have the highest number of crowds. May is going to be a little more quiet, but it's still going to be kind of cold in May. It'll be cold the whole time, but colder in May. September, you're going to start getting into the fall and seeing the leaves change and things. So even within that variety, there's some decisions to be made there to find the ideal month for you to go. And then if you're talking about the Caribbean, for example, you aren't going to want to go from, I want to say August to October is hurricane season. Might not be the most ideal time to take a Caribbean cruise. And then same thing with all of the other countries. So if, say you want to take a cruise in Japan, you might want to consider going in the spring where the cherry blossoms are blooming, or perhaps some of their other festivals that they have at other times of the year. Same thing with all of the other places in the world. So give some thought about when you would want to go and when you're planning your vacation and what your options might be. On that note, just a quick, and not to, again, go into too much detail here, how far you want to travel. So when you're choosing that itinerary, just decide, do I want to spend an entire day traveling before I get on the ship and explore? Or do I want something a little closer to where I live so that I don't have to travel as far and I can get straight to my cruise and start enjoying my cruise at that time? All right, so that is my simple framework. Picking the right cruise line for your specific needs, not just what somebody told you is the best cruise line. Matching your itinerary to your pace, and then picking your cabin category and getting the timing right when you should go. You really don't have to overcomplicate this. Once you narrow down the right fit, everything gets easier. But if you'd rather not figure this out all on your own, I have a link below if you would like to work with me. And I thank you so much for stopping by. Happy sailing.